What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. It's kind of like the after show. It's the after party, and there's a hotel lobby. Anyway, we want to go.
TV.
Yeah. Right, we were just on TV.
AJ
Allmendinger, Kyle Petty, and Rosewood. So let's go to the phones. We've got Scott from Signal Mountain, Tennessee. Scott, what is on your mind, buddy?
Hey, I got a great idea for promotion for NASCAR. We've all, I know a lot of people are just about ruled to death. You know, constant rules, changes, this and that. I've come up with an idea they need to do around the All-Star race or something. A race, bring it and race it. You know, keep all your safety stuff. You know, that all aspect the same. But I mean, you know, back in the day, you know, when whoever cheated the best usually won. You know, I would love to see a race where everybody could build a car the way they wanted to build it, bring it to a racetrack like Charlotte or something, and run it for 100 laps and see who won the race.
So Scott, this is a true proposal of a run what you brung.
Run what you brung.
So how, from you two...
Isn't that what we've been doing?
It feels like we've been doing that.
Let me ask you a question. Do you start with a stock car? I mean, where's your starting point? Because I think your starting point has a lot to do with where your end point is. You know what I mean? I mean, when you talk about the old days of the Smokey Unics and the Buck Bakers and the Weatherlys and all those guys, they took a car off the showroom and turned it into a race car. Then in the 70s, mid-70s, that changed. They went to tube chassis and stuff. And now it's evolved into the spaceships that we have today. So the evolution of the car is different. So you've got to go all the way back and say, where do we start at? Do we start with the car that we have today, run what you brung, and these guys can put wings and all this stuff on it? Or do we start with a car off the showroom? Now, I guess that's my question.
And what do you think? That'd be fun. I mean,
it would be fun.
It would be cool to see
definitely
something that different.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin,
I'd love to see a pimped out minivan.
Yeah, well, I've raced one before. You know that. I've raced a swagger wagon. Kevin, what I hope is that if the after show, if that's the place for it, at some point we will be able to get Kyle to tell some stories about the time that he went out on the track and suddenly all the lead shot that was in his frame rail
story
evacuated.
I cheated. I'll admit it.
What?
Yes.
You looked for a competitive advantage? Like every other...
I looked for a competitive advantage called cheating. Yes, I did.
Appreciate that, honestly. Kevin, thank you.
The same thing that we're doing.
I like that.
I mean, that was Scott. Excuse me, Scott. Thanks for that call.
I like that, Scott.
We got a question from Roger. He wants to know, what was one of the worst road trip experiences getting to the track that you ever had? These are going to be very different answers.
I've never had a bad trip, Roger. Roger Wasson.
All right,
because I know who sent that one in. Roger used to work for my dad.
Yeah.
He worked in the motor room.
Was he there when Horst had that problem and you had to drive?
No. Yeah, right. I had a bad experience where I had a guy who he was driving my dad's truck and I saw him on the side of the road, so I pulled over and he was sick.
A little bit of food poisoning. And he was hanging out the side of the truck, sick. And then I had to get in the truck and drive it home, and he was sick in the truck. So it's a whole long story. It's terrible.
My worst one ever, I've never really had a real bad one either, but we were driving from Go-Kart Nationals from San Jose, California to Marshalltown, Iowa. It was like a 44-hour drive.
Yeah.
So we had loaded the trailer not correctly. The weight distribution wasn't good.
Oh, boy.
So we were like 30 minutes in, and it was my dad and I think 3 other people in the cab of the truck, and then my buddy and I were like laying in the back, and going down the highway, my dad went over 70, and the next thing I looked over, the trailer was trying to pass us.
Oh, no way. Oh, yeah.
So
that's when it gets
we had to run, basically the thing was like on a speed limit of basically 59 miles per hour. As soon as it hit 60, my dad, I gained so much respect watching his race car driving skills because I thought we were going to die because the trailer was passing us. No cars passed us on the highway for another 10 miles after that.
I bet they didn't.
Yeah.
I bet that's solid. Joe from L.A., what's on your mind, buddy?
Hey, guys. How we doing tonight?
We're great, pal. Thanks for calling.
Good. Hey, listen, being here in L.A., we got a lot of racing routes that we've lost a lot of things. And what I think we really need is instead of building all these bigger mega tracks, is that we get a high-banked half-mile oval and put it here in L.A. because that's what L.A. is all about. car crashes, car chases, and beating and banging. We could put 100,000 seats in here and fill it because that's what these people want. What do you guys think?
I think, Joe, I think it's a great idea.
What's that thing that runs through L.A.?
Like the 405?
No,
the L.A. River?
Yeah, the L.A. River. Why don't we just get down in the river basin there and race?
For the record.
In that concrete, you've been down there.
I've raced in there. That would be fun.
Yeah, race from one end of the river to the other.
That's a fun idea. What was the track that the Agajanians had that was
Ascot?
Ascot, for the record.
What's the track we went to? What's the track we went to for the drifting thing out there?
That's Irwindale.
Irwindale. What happened to Irwindale?
So Irwindale's been doing this weird thing where it's been dodging becoming a mall for all these years.
Yes.
And Formula Drift, it says they are now going to be back again. But each year, they're always like, is it going to be here? Is it not? Like, Irwindale's a great
same deal. It's like, why does that fail? So, you know, it's great to say you want to build a short track in L.A., but why did Irwindale fail?
Yeah.
Why is so?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Joe, you would think for the car center of this country, it would be able to support it better, and I wish it could.
By the way, Ascot, my dad and I I grew up going there. My dad always went there. Yeah, because that was where the sprint cars would one of the crazy, cool places.
Dude, the Agajanians are awesome. We got a question from Trex Junior 78 fan, Snoopy Daddy. AJ, what goes on in your head when you see the big one happening in front of you? What's that process like?
Usually it's just, oh, God, for the love of God, let me get through this and just pray. You know, I mean,
Please.
I don't know, depending on how you look at it, I was 50-50 probably on doing that. So, yeah, I mean, it comes down to where at the time you're running and you try to, as Days of Thunder-ish this sound, you literally try to pick a lane and just hope you go through it. The biggest thing is I always ran bigger brakes on the speedways knowing that if that happened, I could get the car woe down. But the problem is the car's behind you trying to do the same thing. Yeah. So I would say 50% of it's skill, 50% of it's luck.
I always tell people the big wrecks, there's the wreck that starts and then all the other wrecks that happen behind it. Because it's like, I know you can be at the back and you're in a wreck and not of your making because somebody
the Daytona 500 last year, my teammate Chris Buescher and I at the time ran in the back. I got hit. I got in 2 wrecks. We were the last 4 cars in line. The car last in line hit me. So there's no real safe place.
And a lot of people don't know that once
Paul Menard's leading, he wasn't safe.
Yeah. He was. Yeah, he thought I'm fine. But so many times people don't see that after the 3rd pileup of cars, and it could be a second pack, but the stuff that they run through, the crap that hits the track, that could be another accident that quickly, and then you're just along for the ride. Music Danica had a question. AJ, how tired were you going from the car to the booth during the Rolex 24-hour race?
You know what? It wasn't that bad in the sense that I'm not going to the booth, but the Rolex 24-hour, because there's so much adrenaline flowing through. So by the time you get out of the race car, it actually helped me the first little bit because usually being the 3rd or 4th guy in the car, I'm just pacing around the bus nervous. So it gave me something that I was able to watch the race, learn some stuff. And then after I got out of the car, I was able to go back up to the booth where I usually kind of at midnight not be able to sleep, trying to sleep. I was able to watch more racing and learn some stuff. The tough one was at the end of the race. Call it what it is. The tough problem was after the race was over, Townsend Bell had finished on the podium, and we had to do our send-off, me and Townsend, and I had to wait for him just taking his sweet little time on the podium while I still had to drive home. Then I learned he had slept from 3 to 11 a.m. Nobody actually came and got him out of his bus.
Oh, no way.
So he did his final stint at 3 a.m. and never got back in.
Got back in.
He had pancakes. He was well-rested.
He was perfect.
That's
taking a sweet little time.
That's cool. T-Bell's never like that. Yeah. We're going back to the phones for Ron from Newport News. Ron, you had a question about Ford, buddy. What's on your mind?
Well, my question is, since they got a completely new set of aero rules, is Ford going to have an advantage by having a clean slate to get the most out of these rules, or will the guys from Toyota and Chevy have more of an edge because they've had some experience with the bodies they're going to be using?
I don't know. I'm going to let AJ answer that one because, I mean, you drove kind of this rule package last year.
And I guess I don't know the rules officially when it comes to how they – so, to me – like what happened with Toyota, they knew the upcoming rules leading up to it. They didn't really make the decision on this aero package until I think September was when they finally made the decision. So at that time, Ford had already put their plans in for the new body. So there was no real advantage to it, where I feel like Toyota had a general idea of,
good point,
like, this is the aero package and this is what we're going to build our car to in the wind tunnel. So I don't really think so.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Ron, the most interesting thing to me is that Toyota did something super smart, where going back to that kind of notion of race on Sunday, sell on Monday, this newest generation Camry was truly built alongside the race car. And no one's done that in I don't know how many years, honestly. Like, if you look at it and how
nobody does that.
I mean,
they used to build cars and you raced cars.
Right.
Now you take a Toyota, they build a race car that they turned into a car.
Right.
It's kind of what they did. They took the best of both, and kind of, it's a hybrid of the street car and a race car.
Yeah.
You know, you can go back to 69, 70 with the Dodge Daytona, with the wing car that they came out with, then the Superbird the following year. And that was a car that was specifically designed to be raced. And then you got the Torino or the Talladega, the Mercury Cyclone. Those cars, some of those cars were designed to be raced more so as much as a road car. But everything was a road car, you know, and then you had to turn it into a race car.
What I thought was cool is that there was a time period where Chevy didn't want to bring the Camaro to NASCAR because they thought, like, somehow that would dilute the name or something like that. And I think finally they got a real marketing person who realized, wait, like, that's what we do. Like, that's why we're making this car, to go race it. So I gotta be honest, I think it's cool. Not only is there a Camaro on the track, but there's a Mustang. The Supra is coming back.
Well, I just like you know, you got the Camaro, you know, pony car. You got the Mustang pony car, and the Camry. Oh, never mind.
Listen, the Supra's coming.
That name doesn't just go in there.
I can't.
It doesn't slide in there, does it?
Can't wait to get a Supra. Matt asked, do you think the new post-race inspection rules will reduce the penalties that occurred during midweek in the past? And is there still a possibility of midweek penalties happening this season? I think it totally is. I think they're making it. Me personally, I think they're doing a great thing.
Yeah. No, listen, I like that. You know, if you're not right, you're not right. Sorry. You know, true story. They would pump an engine, and if it was too big, they'd let it cool all the way down. You'd pack ice on it because it would bring it back down, and you could be a little bit over 358, but then you'd be a little bit under 358, and then you were legal. What the heck, man? You just run a big engine. That's what it was. You cheated. Right. But I think that is good. I read the stuff with Scott Miller and those guys, and there are still a slight chance of having that P1 penalty where we see something on a Wednesday or see something on a Tuesday. But it's so slight now. I think they've looked at it and they've tried to eliminate all that because they want the fans to know who won the race when they leave the racetrack.
Yeah.
And it's hurt NASCAR in general with just diluting the winner of the race. Like, oh, he won. Oh, he was cheating.
Yeah.
Still gets the win. Oh, he gets some points taken away. And just
the whole cucumber thing.
Yeah, it's a cucumber win. And it's just like, I mean, so you leave, you're cheating. You're cheating.
And you cheated everybody that day.
It's no different than...
What if instead of all these weird penalties, we just call them cheater, pumpkin eater, and they have to wear like a live pumpkin, like a jack-o'-lantern in the garage the whole next weekend.
Jack-o'-lantern pumpkin head?
Yeah, right? We're going back to the phones with Alan from South Carolina. Alan, what's on your mind?
So with the contracts coming up with these tracks in the next few years and schedule changes becoming a thing, what's the type of track or specific tracks do you think we should be going to in the future?
Alan, that's a great question.
That's a great question. Listen, I'm going to go old school and say I'd like to go back to North Wilkesboro. I'd like to go back to Rockingham. I'd like to go back to those places. The problem with that is this, okay? In a lot of ways, the sport has left those places, and I'm not sure it can go back to those places. You've got a short track in Iowa that we could go to. There's other racetracks, other road courses we could go to across America and different places. We've got so many mile-and-a-half racetracks. That's not a knock on a mile-and-a-half racetrack, but everybody built a mile-and-a-half racetrack with a road course type infield so that they could run sports cars and Indy cars and Cup cars. They could run everything. It was a multi-purpose facility. I want some of you guys that are old like me to think back to when cities built stadiums that you could play baseball and football in. It was a multi-purpose stadium. No, it never worked. It worked for a short period of time, but then everybody went back to their old baseball fields and their old football fields. So I think you've got to look at it. We need short tracks, and I'd like to see a couple of road courses.
Well, I think as you said, it's not knocking the mile and a half speed, but it just got out of hand.
Yes,
and it's not the best racing. Whether you go back to an old school place, the schedule just needs to be different.
Yeah.
It's not like you got to go to, say, 36 different types of racetracks. But you have to go to unique places. And to me, it stands out. We run in Xfinity there, a cup race at Road America. It'd be a packed house.
It would be awesome.
I did the first Xfinity race at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
I mean, it was standing room, it was just packed. So you go to a new place or you go back to a place that hasn't had a cup race, you're going to bring people in. And I think that's what we just need in the schedule is just uniqueness of the schedule that drivers, fans, everybody gets excited because it's a different type of race.
Yeah. We need to go to Canada. Darn it, they deserve it.
Yeah.
We're going to Randy next in California. Randy, what's your question?
My question is, why don't they get the double line rule at all the tracks, not just Talladega and Daytona? I'm sick of watching these guys cheat by using the apron.
Yeah, that's not cheating. It's only cheating at Daytona and Talladega.
Randy, I think your point is. I think it's to me it's confusing because I watch some tracks where you watch these drivers and y'all would just come sailing down and you're almost on pit road. You're so deep on the, and then you'll just scoot on up and then I'm like, well, wait. But even as a fan, I'm like, what is the
but speak to it.
Well, at Talladega and Daytona, part of the reason they made the rule, and correct me if I'm wrong because it was kind of before I was there, but you would have guys 4 and 5 wide.
Yeah.
And at some point, you have to move back up on the racetrack, and you just couldn't do it.
Yes.
At the short tracks and the mile and a halves, that's not really a problem.
Yeah.
And we complain that we don't get enough passing at those racetracks, so let's limit it by saying you can't go down there and make a pass anyways. So I get it's confusing to a fan.
What if we just take the lines off?
I get this because, well, if you take the lines off, this is what I'm going to say. Let's go back to the 79 Daytona 500 with Cale and Donnie coming off turn 2. They run each other over into the grass in the middle of the backstretch at Daytona. That's why the double yellow line is there. You can't run somebody below that line. You can't advance your position below that line. It only happens at a place like Daytona and Talladega. You're not going to get that at a Charlotte because you come off turn 2. You can't go all the way over here and get a good line to enter turn 3. You've penalized yourself by going that far down in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
so
there is a penalty.
There's not a penalty.
The All-Star race, right?
Yeah.
That you were involved in.
Same thing.
The pass near the grass?
That's a different race.
Okay.
And that was never a pass. The pass in the grass was never a pass. There we go.
We're going to take our last caller.
Yes.
Which is Kurt in California. Kurt, what's on your mind?
Well, there was 2 things. The first thing was an Allmendinger coming right on about Johnson wrecking Menard. They can't actually say that for sure, but you sure don't see Allmendinger say anything about last year Dillon intentionally wrecking Almirillo. But
I didn't say anything about it because I wasn't asked about it, but I can talk about it now. And the fact is, he does wreck him. He wrecks the heck out of him coming for the win. I didn't say what Jimmy did was intentional, or if you're going for it, it was even wrong. He just call it what it is. He wrecked him, and you're right. Dillon wrecks Almirola for the win. They both ended up in victory lane. So if you're one of their fans, you're happy.
Yeah, look, Jimmy's thing in my book was a mistake. He got a good run. He put his car in position, but he didn't put it far enough to the left. It drew the 21 down to him. He gets into the 21. He made contact. Where are you from, man?
California.
California. If you roll into somebody in front of you, you get the ticket because you hit him from behind. Jimmy hit him from behind. Jimmy gets the ticket. He gets the win, but he gets the ticket.
You know what? That's a pretty simple way to put it, I guess.
That's how it is.
That was well
Kurt,
done.
thanks for the call.
There you go.
Guys, did you have a good time? We answered a lot of fan questions.
Yeah.
If you called in, thank you so much for calling. My earpiece broke, so I can't hear our producer, so I'm going to assume it's a good time to wrap this up. Did you have a good time?
I did.
See y'all. Thanks for being here. You nailed it.
I hope I'm not fired.
1.